The K-9 unit was trained to detect danger, drugs, explosives, threats. But when Rex wouldn't stop barking at Mr. Halbridge, the quiet science teacher, no one understood why. He wasn't aggressive, just relentless. Students laughed, teachers scolded, but Rex wouldn't back down. Then one day, the principal decided to check the classroom basement and everything changed. Rex wasn't just any dog, he was the pride of the K-9 unit, known for his sharp instincts and unshakable focus. But ever since Officer Daniels began bringing him to the local high school for routine patrols, something was off. Rex would freeze outside room 108, then growl. Then bark. Loud, angry, insistent. The kind of bark that said danger. Room 108 belonged to Mr. Halbridge, the quiet, unassuming science teacher with a spotless record in gentle demeanor. "He's probably just reacting to a scent," Halbridge had chuckled the first time it happened. But Rex didn't stop. Every day, same place, same reaction. Students began to notice. Some found it funny, others unsettling. "Maybe Mr. H is hiding a body in there," one teen joked. But Officer Daniels wasn't laughing. He trusted Rex with his life, and Rex had never been wrong. After weeks of repeated alerts, Daniels requested a deeper search. The principal resisted, not wanting to offend a long-standing teacher. But Daniels insisted. When they finally unlocked the basement below the science lab, sealed off for years, they found what no one expected: an illegal lab, old surveillance tapes, and disturbing evidence linking Halbridge to a missing student from 5 years ago. Halbridge was arrested that night. In interviews, he remained calm, offering vague denials, but the evidence spoke louder. So did Rex. The community was stunned. Parents were shaken. Students whispered about how a dog saw what no one else could. Rex sat calmly at Daniel's side, his job done. His instincts had cut through charm and deception. Sometimes, the truth doesn't need words, it just needs a bark. Ranger was a seasoned K-9, retired from the front lines but still sharp as a blade. Officer Mia Torres brought him to the middle school as part of a new safety initiative. He was calm, obedient, until he met Mr. Keller. Keller taught history. Polite, well-liked, always smiling. But the moment Ranger walked past his classroom, everything changed. The dog froze, ears up, body rigid. Then came the growl, low, guttural, primal. At first, Mia thought it was a fluke. But it happened again. And again. Every time they passed room 12B, Ranger became a different animal: agitated, aggressive, alert. Teachers laughed it off. "Dogs bark," they said. "Maybe Keller wears a weird cologne." But Mia knew better. She'd spent years trusting Ranger in life-or-death situations. His instincts weren't random. They were warnings. Her concerns were dismissed until a student, Kayla Mendez, went missing. Last seen leaving Keller's room after detention. Suddenly, Ranger's behavior couldn't be ignored. A warrant was issued. Behind Keller's locked supply closet, authorities found a concealed stairway leading to a soundproof room filled with disturbing drawings, recordings, and evidence from other missing children tied to nearby districts. Keller had built a second life beneath the school, one that no one could see. No one, except Ranger. The headlines called it a miracle. Others called it a fluke. But Mia knew the truth: instinct doesn't lie. Ranger was no ordinary dog. He was trained to sniff out danger. And this time, he'd unleashed something far darker than drugs or weapons. He'd uncovered a predator hiding in plain sight. As Keller was led away in handcuffs, Ranger sat beside Mia, calm once more. His mission was clear. When instinct speaks, you listen. Or suffer the cost of silence. They brought Kilo, a retired police K-9, to the school as part of a community outreach program. Calm, disciplined, and fiercely intelligent, he was meant to reassure the students, not terrify them. But the moment he entered the school, Kilo fixated on one man, Mr. Lennox, the new English teacher. At first, it seemed harmless, just a low growl as they passed his classroom. But it escalated. Kilo began barking, teeth bared, refusing to move when they reached room 207. No one else saw anything strange. Lennox was charming, well-dressed, and carried a warm smile that won over staff and students alike. Still, Kilo wouldn't back down. He scratched at the door, growled at the teacher, and refused to respond to commands near him. Principal Harper brushed it off. "Maybe the dog doesn't like poetry," she joked. But Officer Ramirez, Kilo's handler, knew better. This dog had once sniffed out a trafficker hiding in a shipping crate. His instincts had saved lives. Ramirez pushed for a background check. What they found didn't make sense. Lennox's records were flawless. Too flawless. Clean to the point of suspicion. A deeper investigation uncovered forged documents and a real identity buried in an unsolved case 2 states away. A raid on Lennox's home revealed chilling evidence: personal belongings of 2 missing teens, hidden in a locked basement room. Lennox was arrested quietly. The school tried to suppress the story, but word got out. Students whispered in hallways. Teachers looked over their shoulders. They remembered how Kilo had known, how the dog had sensed the truth that no one else could see. Sometimes, evil wears a smile. Sometimes, the hero doesn't speak. This time, the dog knew first. And it made all the difference. He never barked. That was the strangest part. Tango, the K-9 unit's youngest recruit, was known for his quiet discipline. He didn't growl, didn't lunge, he simply signaled with subtle shifts: a stiff posture, a locked gaze, a twitch of the ear. Officer Lena Brooks had learned to trust those silent cues. They had saved her life more than once. But at Silver Ridge High, Tango began acting differently. Every time they passed Ms. Whitmore's art room, he froze. His ears perked. His body tensed. And his tail went rigid. At first, Lena thought it was nothing. Maybe paint fumes, or a faint chemical scent. But it continued every patrol, every hallway sweep. Same reaction. Silent. Still. Alert. Whitmore was beloved. Creative, kind, always willing to stay late for students who needed a safe space. No one wanted to hear Lena's concerns. "You're reading too much into it," the principal said. But Tango wouldn't let it go. Lena dug deeper. Whitmore had changed her name a decade ago. Before that, she had been a suspect in a string of disappearances tied to a cult-like commune in the Pacific Northwest, cases that were quietly dropped due to lack of evidence. This time, evidence found them. A student's anonymous tip, triggered by something strange they saw in a locked storage closet, led to a search warrant. Behind a false wall, investigators uncovered disturbing relics, photos, clothing, journals. Art that told stories no one should have painted. Whitmore was arrested without resistance. "I was only trying to preserve what they were," she whispered. The school fell into shock. Only Tango remained steady. His signals had been there all along: quiet, consistent, unwavering. Not all heroes raise alarms. Some simply stand still and wait for someone to listen. Scout had been deployed in war zones, trained to detect explosives, ambushes, even people hiding behind walls. He'd seen chaos. But nothing rattled him like the calm face of Mr. Dalton, the school's guidance counselor. The assignment was supposed to be easy. A few days of school patrols, a goodwill gesture from the department. Officer Jonah Blake didn't expect much, maybe a few drug locker alerts at worst. But Scout was different the moment they stepped onto campus. His eyes never left Dalton. No barking. No growling. Just unblinking focus. Watchful. Obsessed. Dalton smiled as Scout passed. "Your partner's intense," he chuckled. But Scout's eyes tracked him until he vanished down the hallway. The behavior continued. Every time Dalton appeared, Scout would stand at full attention, tail still, breathing shallow. Jonah started to wonder. Dogs weren't paranoid. They didn't imagine threats. They responded to them. Jonah began digging. Dalton's records were pristine. Too pristine. A change of name, a sealed juvenile file, and a sudden disappearance from another school 2 towns over. Then came the break. A parent reported her daughter acting strangely after counseling sessions. She'd withdrawn, terrified of being alone. And then, she vanished. Searches turned up nothing. But Scout led Jonah to a maintenance tunnel behind the school's auditorium. There, they found a hidden room, soundproofed, camera-equipped, and filled with evidence that tied Dalton to more than one missing teen. Dalton was arrested in the middle of the school day. The students watched him led away in silence. The school had trusted him. He was their safe place. But Scout had seen what no one else did, through the smile, the lies, the mask. Because sometimes evil doesn't wear a snarl. Sometimes, it stares back, calm, collected. And only trained eyes can spot the enemy hiding in plain sight. At Hollow Creek Academy, nothing ever broke the silence. The halls were clean, the students polite, and the staff pristine. But when Officer Grant brought his K-9 partner, Shadow, for a school safety demonstration, the silence cracked. Shadow was trained, disciplined, and eerily quiet. But as they neared the theater department, something changed. He let out a single, sharp howl, then refused to move. His eyes were locked on Mr. Dorian, the charismatic drama teacher known for his charm and award-winning productions. Laughter echoed down the hall. "Guess he doesn't like Shakespeare," Dorian joked, smiling wide. But the next day, it happened again. And again. Every time they passed the auditorium doors, Shadow would growl low, then howl. A sound Officer Grant had only heard once before, during a human trafficking raid. It wasn't noise. It was a warning. Grant started digging. Dorian's credentials were flawless. Too flawless. A few calls revealed a trail of inconsistencies, changed names, and a former school where 3 students had vanished under strange circumstances. Then a student at Hollow Creek disappeared. Shadow led them back to the auditorium. Behind a false panel in the stage floor, they uncovered a hidden trapdoor leading to a soundproof room beneath the stage. Inside, stolen belongings, wigs, photographs, and recordings. Dorian had created more than plays, he had built a double life beneath the spotlight. The truth hit the community like a thunderclap. Parents were stunned. Students were terrified. And through it all, Shadow remained still, eyes fixed on the now empty stage. The howl wasn't random. It was a cry against the mask, against the evil that had performed for years undetected. Because some monsters don't hide in the dark. They stand in the light, center stage. And only instinct can unmask them.